Origami Yoda and the Embarrassing Stain by Kellen. Alright, this is Kellen here. Tommy asked me to write down what happened with Origami Yoda, but I hate to write things down. That's too much like homework, having to write a bunch of stuff down and make complete sentence and all that. I'm like, no thanks, dude. So I'm just going to record it on this recording thing and let Tommy write it down. So I guess you can edit out where I was and stuff like that. What happened to me was this. I was in the bathroom right before school was about to start, and I saw that someone, probably Harvey, had written "Kellen drinks pee" on the wall over the sink. So I leaned across the sink to erase it, and I had on these light brown pants, and they got all wet right across the front. I seriously look like I had peed on my pants really badly. I tried to cover it with my shirt, but it was my really shrimpy shirt with the Scooby-Doo on it, and it wasn't long enough to cover the pee part, which wasn't really pee, of course. Lance was in there too. "Dude," he said, "that doesn't even begin to hide your pee stain." "Lance, you saw this. It isn't pee stain, right? This just water from the sink." "Yeah, I saw that, but man, it totally looks like you peed in your pants." "But you'll tell people the truth, right?" "What am I supposed to do? Follow you around and tell people it's not pee? It just looks exactly like pee." Then the warning bell rang for homeroom. That meant I had 1 minute to get to class. There was one way I could get the pants dry in 1 minute, and there was no way I would go to class in a giant pee stain, which really wasn't pee. For one thing, Harvey is in my homeroom, and you know he's a total dipwad about stuff like that, and he would say something loud, and everyone would see it, even people who don't normally look at me. Even worse, Rondella is there too, and the last thing in the world I need is for Rondella to see me with a pee stain, which wasn't really pee, you know. Then I had an idea. "Hey Lance, will you run to class and get my coat? I think it's long enough to hide the spot." "No time, dude. I've never make it back here and then back to class in 1 minute. Speaking of which, I got to get to class now." "Dude, you got about 40 seconds left. See ya, Kellen." So Lance left. "Thanks, Lance." Right now, you might be thinking, so what? Just show up to homeroom a little late. Great idea, except for various reasons I've shown up a little late about 20 times this year, and Mr. Howell said the next time it happens, I'd have to spend the rest of the day in ISS. That's in-school suspension, and it's more boring than anything you could imagine. Plus, every time I get sent there, Principal Rabsky sends a note home to my parents, and I lose my PlayStation for 1 week. So I had to get the pants dry in 40 seconds, except for the fact that it was physically impossible to do that. When Dwight came out of one of the stalls, it seemed like he's in the bathroom every single time I go in there. "Look at my pants, Dwight. You got any ideas?" "I'm getting the idea that you peed in your pants." "No, I didn't. And I mean, do you have any ideas that would help me?" "No," he said, and then he held up Origami Yoda, which was on his finger, but Yoda might. "Whatever," I said. Then Dwight did his Yoda voice, which Harvey is right about being totally the worst Yoda impression of all time. I do it a lot better. But anyways, Yoda said, "All the parts you must wet." "What?" "I guess," said Dwight in his normal voice. He means you need to make all of your pants wet so it doesn't look like a pee stain anymore." Then he left his for class too. I turned the water on and splashed myself all over, my pants and my shirt too. Then I ran to class and got there just before Mr. Howell was shutting the door. "Should I even ask why you're all wet, Kellen?" asked Mr. Howell. "Nope," I said, and sat down really quickly. He was skeptical, but he went ahead and took roll. After homeroom, I had PE, so I would be able to switch to my sweatpants for the rest of the day. Everybody wondered why I was wet, and sure, it was cold and uncomfortable for a while, but the most important thing is that I didn't get sent to the office. I didn't lose my PlayStation for 2 weeks, and nobody, including Rondella, thought I had peed in my pants. That's when I knew that Origami Yoda is for real, man. That's totally Jedi wise. Harvey's comment. What a bunch of malarkey. If Paper Wad Yoda was real, which it isn't, surely it could come up with something better than going to class in soaking wet pants. The real Yoda would have dried them with his mind or something. Also, I have to point out that according to Kellen's story, Dwight walked out of the bathroom stall with Paper Wad Yoda on his finger. That's just gross, folks. My comment. I agree that the situation was not perfect, but it's better than anything I can think of. Remember when Kellen only had a few seconds left? I think it was pretty good advice, and probably better than anything Dwight would have come up with. That's what really blows my mind. Dwight can barely function. He walks around school with his shoes untied and his hair uncombed. He is always getting terrible grades and getting sent to the office for being late or falling asleep in class or whatever. And he does come to class with weird stains on his clothes. If you ask for advice, it would be terrible. But if you ask him for Yoda's advice, you'd get something great. That's how come I think Origami Yoda might be real. For instance, this next story is about softball. The two worst softball players in our PE class, and maybe in the whole world, are Dwight and Mike. So how come Yoda/Dwight was able to give Mike such great advice? Ever notice how much Mr. Howell looks like Jabba the Hutt?